In this last video for this lesson, we will be doing a writing exercise. So I'm going to go to the writing section of my notebook, and remember how we are doing these. We explain, we have described, so we are doing these according to the writing prompt that I'm going to give you. So let me make a copy of a page so that I have something to write on. Last time we used a Venn diagram. That was a pretty intense writing exercise. But this time, let me erase my page so I can have space to do this one. This is going to correspond to lesson 1.3. So let's go ahead and give that header a number. And here is the prompt. 1.3. I want us to explain the three main types of graphs and we'll have to remember what those three main types are. And describe, or let's say and tell, when to use each of them. So this prompt has two instructions. We need to explain the three types and also tell when to use each of them. Now let me jump back here just a minute. Structure and purpose. So the structure of this paragraph or essay, we have to decide, is going to be one thing. The purpose is another. And I'm going to define the purpose first. The purpose is to explain and describe. Now, before I go to the structure, let's look back just a second. At 1.1, we had to explain, and we used a sequence to do that. Then we had a purpose of comparing and contrasting, or describing. We used the structure compare, contrast. So in this case, I'm going to use the structure of an essay. Okay. So let me draw off the line here. And I need to organize this just a little bit. So I'm going to draw what I call a mind map. I'm going to draw a circle in the middle. And that's going to be for my main idea. So the main idea here will be the three main types of graphs. Now, if we were in a classroom, I would ask you to tell me what those are. We're going to draw some lines off of, you could even call this a spider map. It looks like a spider. What is one type? What's the simplest type? That's going to be a bar graph. So I'm going to put that up here in green. You'll see why I'm using the colors in just a minute. So bar graph. So what can we tell about a bar graph? Well, first of all, we know that it can be, that it uses bars. We know that it compares countable things. We know that it can be horizontal or vertical. So it can be vertical or horizontal. And we know that we would put the main idea in the title. And we did talk about that it is the most common type of graph, allegedly. I've heard that. Okay, so that's pretty good for bar graph. Now let me change colors. I'll do red. And let's talk about line graphs. So let's just jot down all the things that we can think of about a line graph. It uses points and lines. And what's the purpose? It shows a trend over time. And remember, the trends can be constant, rising, or falling. We would put the main idea in the title. Okay, that's all I can think of. If we think of something else, we can come back and add it. And then the other type is the circle graph, because they just want us to discuss the three main types of graphs. And I know that a circle uses sectors to show sections There's a word part. Let's go ahead and add that. Sect. Sect. So let me stop what I'm doing there. Let's go to our word part section. Over to roots. And add this one in. Sect. Whoops. I'll keep that with black ink. Sect. S-E-C-T. Means a part. A section. A sector. Those are parts of a whole. So when you find those word parts, go ahead and write them down. That's why we have that section in our notebooks. Okay, sorry about that, but back to writing. So a circle graph uses sectors to show sections. Sections are parts of the whole. And the whole is 100%. It would have a main idea in the title. And I think we have enough here to write an essay form of this passage. Won't be a very long essay, but we can get in what we need to. All right, so the first thing I need to do is write an introduction. And I need to indent the first line. I'm going to take what's in that circle and I'm going to write it down here. The 3 and you want to spell out words. Don't use abbreviations or symbols. You want to be formal when you write. So the 3 main types of graphs are the bar graph, the circle graph, or I'm sorry, the line graph was our next most complicated one, and the circle graph. full stop. Now look at what I've done there. I have identified those 3 types of graphs right here. I said we have the here's bar graph. Here is line graph. And here is circle graph. So I've identified the 3 types. I have identified what the writing prompt is telling me to do, almost. I've named the 3 types of graphs. So then I need to explain that each type of graph has a different purpose. Use the type of graph that does the job you need it to do. Okay, a paragraph must have 3 sentences. So this is our introductory paragraph. Then I'm going to pick up the green pen and I'm going to tell you about the bar graph. So I'm starting a new paragraph. A bar graph uses bars, and let's go ahead and say vertical or horizontal. Bars to compare countable things. Okay, so look back up here at what we've done. We have checked off this one, and this one using just one sentence. Now, I've noticed that this main idea one is in all of them. So I'm going to hold that until the end. All of them have the main idea in the title. So I'm not going to mention that 3 times. We'll just mention it in the conclusion. So I need to talk about the bar graph as the most common type. That is one thing I need to put in. So let's just say that. Bar graphs are the most common type of graph. Okay, I just have 2 sentences. I need 3 for a paragraph. So I'm just going to add something here. Bar graphs are the most common type of graph. They are seen in every school subject. And I'm just going to leave it there. We have our 3 sentences. So that paragraph is done. We mentioned the most common type. Okay, line graphs. So we need to change to a new paragraph, which means we indent. Line graphs use points and lines to show trends over time. Full stop. So I've got this one and I've got that one. Trends can rise, fall, or stay constant. Full stop. Line graphs are common in science, social studies, and math. Full stop. So we've described the line graph and when it is used. Okay, got all those. And now we're ready for a circle graph. A circle graph uses sectors in a circle to show parts of a whole amount. Full stop. So we have sectors, parts of a whole. We've already done all those, so we're going to have to come up with some more facts for the circle. The whole amount is always 100%. Once you get to 100, it is okay to write the number. You don't have to spell it out. Circle graphs are common in math. Okay, if you need to go to another page, if you're running out of room, that is perfectly fine. You can do that. I'm going to try to fit all of mine on one page just because I'm using a computer. But do not hesitate to use another page if you need it. All right, we need to put in our conclusion. And this is where we're going to mention about our main idea. We haven't done that yet. But here's what we want to say, something along these lines. A graph should always make sense for the data. Decide the purpose of the graph before drawing it. always put the main idea of the graph in the title. Okay. I want you to visualize this essay that we've written as a hamburger. Okay. You have a top bun, that introduction, and a bottom bun, that conclusion. You have the green layer, that could be the lettuce. The tomato is the red layer. And the blue layer, I should have done that in brown, and that would be the hamburger patty. That's how an essay should be structured. You need a top bun and you need a bottom bun. The bottom bun can be a little thinner than the top bun. That's okay, or they can be the same. And then you need the good stuff. You need the stuff in the middle that makes the burger the burger. So let's read back through this passage. There are some mistakes. I left them deliberately, and I've probably made some that I didn't mean to make, but we always need to proofread. And I'm going to pick up an orange pen to do that. So, I see a mistake in the very first sentence. The three main types of graphs are the bar graph, the line graph, and the circle graph. Let me read it again, and I want you to listen carefully to the sound of my voice. The three main types of graphs are the bar graph, the line graph, and the circle graph. Do you hear the pause? I'm not stopping, but my voice pauses for just a beat. The three main types of graphs are the bar graph, pause, the line graph, pause, and the circle graph. If you have three things in a row like that, you need to put commas between them. The bar graph is 1, the line graph is 2, and the circle graph is 3. So I need those commas in there. Now I don't want the 1, 2s, and 3s, so I just wanted you to see that. Each type of graph has a different purpose. Use the type of graph that does the job you need it to do. There's a mistake in that last sentence. I did not full stop. So you need to put the period in there. Let me highlight these as well. They're hard to see. So you have the comma here, the comma here, and the full stop here. A bar graph uses vertical or horizontal bars to compare countable things. Bar graph are the most common type of graph. Let me read that again. Bar graph are the most common type of graph. Bar graphs. That should be plural because we're using the word are. Bar graphs are the most common type of graph. You don't have to erase, just write it in there, and the reader will know that's what you meant to do. They are seen in every school subject. Line graphs use points and lines to show trends over time. Trends can rise, fall, or stay constant. There's that comma thing again. Trends can rise, pause, fall, pause, or stay constant. So you need that. There are three things here. Rise, fall, constant. So if there are three things in a row, you need the commas. Line graphs are common in science, social studies, and math. Do you hear it? Line graphs are common in science, social studies, that's one subject, and math. So you have 3 subjects: science, social studies, math. 3 subjects, you need the commas. So I made that mistake 3 times already. A circle graph uses sectors in a circle to show parts of a whole amount. The whole amount is always 100%. Circle graphs are common in math. A graph should always make sense for the data. Decide the purpose of the graph before drawing it. Always put the main idea of the graph in the title. Okay, this is not the best piece of writing, but it's not the worst either. It's well organized. It has that hamburger structure, and that's what we want if we're writing an essay. It's really detailed. It has all the details that we needed to include. So the purpose was to explain the 3 main types of graphs. We did that. We talked about circle, line, and bar, and we told when to use each of them. We talked about the different school subjects. We talked about the purpose of the graph and being sure that the purpose matches the data. So we did address the question, or the prompt. We did what we were supposed to do. It could be improved upon because I'm not a writer. I'm a math person, so writing is hard for me. But I think it would be at least a 3 on a scale of 1 to 6 because it has structure. It has a skeleton, that hamburger skeleton. I think it would be passing, but it certainly could improve, and I'm sure you could improve on it. I would encourage you to do that. Practice writing your own essay. That will give you good skills to use in all aspects of life, not just in school. Okay, this is the end of this lesson, so it's time to take the assessment that is in the Schoology folder. That will allow you to get credit for the class with your teacher and in your hours count. So make sure you do the assessment, and I'll see you in the next lesson for, we start a new chapter. We'll start chapter 2. Have a great day. Bye-bye.